Hey everybody, in today's video we're going to be measuring our heart rate using the Garmin Instinct Crossover watch. Now I've got the solar version. It shouldn't matter whether you've got the solar or the non-solar. For this video, for this functionality, the two are going to work the same. As with other Garmin watches, the most basic way you can view your heart rate information is by adding it as a data element on the watch face. There are certain data fields that are better at this than others. Sometimes it will just simply be your heart rate. You'll notice on this watch face you've got a trend, so I can see over the last 4 hours what my heart rate has been doing. Now you'll notice a couple gaps in that 4-hour period. Those are times when I did not have the watch on and thus it wasn't registering any heart rate information. So that's going to be the most basic way to do it. The other way you can do it is you can download add the heart rate glance to your glance list. It is not available in your control menu up in the top left. To get to your glances, you're going to have to use either the up or down button, and that's where you can put your heart rate. You'll notice when I go to the glance list, I've got mine listed up at the top. You can see a little bit more detail than you would have seen in the watch face. In this case, because my watch face showed a trend, we're kind of seeing the same thing. We can see my current heart rate, and then again, we can see a trend over the last 4 hours. If I press the GPS button, I can go into that glance and I can look at a little bit more detail. I can see my current heart rate, 98 beats per minute, and then down at the bottom over the last 4 hours, I can see some more details about that graph we saw from my watch face. I can see what my highest heart rate was in the last 4 hours as well as what my lowest heart rate was. There's really not a whole lot of other options in here. If I press the up or down button, you'll notice the only other thing that it shows you is it shows you a 7-day average. So if you look at my last 7 days, you can see what my heart rate average, my average resting heart rate has been. Now you'll notice some of these days have no values at all. It could be one of two things. Either I wasn't wearing the watch or I was wearing the watch and I had the wrist heart rate turned off. This is a feature that you can choose to turn off if you're not interested in it. I tend to turn it off just because it saves a little bit of battery life. I would think most people would leave this on all the time. If you have it on the auto setting, when it's on your wrist, it'll measure heart rate. The minute you take it off of your wrist, it'll stop measuring the heart rate. It'll turn off the heart rate sensor on the back, and thus it'll preserve battery life when it's not on the wrist. While we're in the glance, if I press down again, it doesn't do anything. Those are your only two views in the heart rate glance. Once you're done viewing your heart rate information, you can simply press the back button a couple of times, get back to your main watch face. That's the basics of viewing your heart rate information. Now your heart rate comes into play in a lot of other things. When you do activities, things like your walking exercises, your hiking exercises, golf. Per activity, you can choose to have the heart rate on or not. You do not have to have the wrist heart rate on in order for it to be working in an activity. So if you don't want it on at any point, unless you're out doing a hiking activity, you can set that on the watch. It'll store that heart rate information per activity so you can look back at your activities and see what your heart rate information was. I hope the video helps, gives you an idea of what the heart rate looks like on the Garmin Instinct Crossover watch. Thanks for watching.